Point Weather Center for this morning. We expect the day to be mostly sunny with a high 35. We'll have mostly cloudy skies tonight, a low 22. There's a chance of snow showers Friday morning. It'll be mostly cloudy with a high 40. Friday night looks mostly cloudy, a low 23. For the last weekend of the year on Saturday, it'll be mostly sunny with a high 35. Sunday should be a sunny day. Expect a high near 40. Again, today's high 35, and I'm Rod Tanner. For more information, check out our website, the all-new www.my1071thepoint.com.
It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Well, good morning, America. You are listening to Michael Evans, hosting America's Voice Now. I will be your host for this hour of information, education, motivation, and activation. That's the premise and the principles upon which this show operates. If you're interested, if you're a motivated person, if you like to act, if you like to sit down and wait for the inevitable to land on you, this is not the show for you. Go find something on Kim Kardashian and her latest lingerie. Or go watch some idiotic show about kids who live in New Jersey and act like idiots at the shore. We're only interested in people here who take a strong interest in their livelihood and in their future. If that doesn't fit you, go find another channel. Go listen to another country song or go listen to some rock and roll stuff and keep your head stuck in the sand. Our bullet points this morning are in reference to a situation which has been going on for a long, long time. This is courtesy of a gentleman who had brought this issue to my attention. But there are 35 states that have filed suit currently against the federal government for imposing burdens on those states. And if you're not aware, it takes 38 states out of the 50 that we have to convene a new constitutional convention. It's been tried many times in the past without success. But the problem here is that we have a series and a system by which our Congress has benefits that do not extend to the individuals that they, quote, rule. And I use that term for a reason. Most citizens in this country have no idea that Congress can retire with 100% pay after only one term. That means that we, as American taxpayers, will continue to pay them a benefit. In the case of the House, I think it's about $175,000, and in the case of the Senate, it's about $195,000. Not to mention health benefits for life, not to mention all kinds of other goodies and bennies that go along with the job. More importantly, once they have retired, or actually while they're in office, they have exempted themselves from following the same rules that you and I must follow. For example, they don't have to fear sexual harassment lawsuits and prosecution while they are in office. I mean, how does that work? If you, as the owner of a business, sexually harass an employee, he or she can end up owning your business as a result of a lawsuit. However, Congress is exempted from that. They have also recently exempted themselves from Obamacare. Now, this is an issue which ought to strike at the heart of every American, for the simple reason that Congress has a health care plan that makes anything that you can buy in the marketplace look like no insurance. They are covered at the best hospitals for life with the best medical care, no questions asked, no deductibles, everything paid for, down to the last aspirin and the smallest Band-Aid. Yet they have determined, in their infinite wisdom, to betray the American people and pass Obamacare on us, which will limit our access to health care, destroy the infrastructure of the health care system as we know it, enrich insurance companies, bankrupt individuals and businesses, and, for all intents and purposes, further our slide into tyranny. When the government controls 1/5 of the entire domestic GDP, which is what our healthcare system generates, and these guys can't tie their shoes without written instructions, how are they going to manage our healthcare system? But essentially, they have exempted themselves from participating in the healthcare program that they see fit to burden the rest of us with. Now, I would strongly like to suggest, and this isn't my idea, so don't give me credit for something I'm not entitled to, that there be a new constitutional amendment. And it reads like this: Congress shall make no law that applies to the citizens of the United States that does not apply equally to the senators and or representatives. And Congress shall make no law that applies to the senators or representatives that does not apply equally to the citizens of the United States. That simple two-sentence phrase will put the elitists who believe that they are our lords and rulers back into play with everything that they pass on us. I think it's a wonderful idea. I'll post this up on the website. I'll post it up on Facebook. And I would strongly encourage that you share this information and spread the word with other individuals so that you have an opportunity to help drive this behavior and activity in a way that will change or drive a constitutional amendment. I believe it's high time that we had such a thing. And that's the end of this morning's bullet points. We're going to open our phone lines for a couple of quick moments. We are going to be joined this morning by Sheriff Mack, Richard Mack. Sheriff Mack is the individual who, if you're not familiar with him, we've had him on the show before. He is the founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. And he is a great American gentleman and a loyal and strong patriot for our nation. And he is the kind of guy that has really driven a lot of change in the nation, and especially in law enforcement. He has a brand new book out, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to have him on right after the quarter-hour break, and he will be with us up until the 9 o'clock hour. So I'm just going to ask you to hold for 1 second while I bring this caller on. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Mike, first question I got. Since when does a servant run the show?
Well, listen, the ticks now outweigh the dog. If you look on the website that I posted on America's Voice Now, I posted a story this morning about 11 states that now have, let me just tell you exactly what it says. There are now 11 states where those states have more employees, more people on assistance than the number of people that are working. 11 states, private sector workers are now outnumbered by the actual government or by people who are dependent solely upon the government.
Let me propose something, Mike. Let's form us a grassroots organization to brainstorm and come up with a solution or an effort to resolve this issue rather than do a bunch of talking about it. If we have to meet in my garage, I'm game. Let's do something, whether it's once a week, whether it's once a month. Let's get something going with people that are serious about making this stuff happen and bringing reining the leash in on these goofballs that's driving us into slavery and making us the servants without pay.
Hey, listen, that's what the Restore Missouri Project is about. If you've got a church or you've got a meeting place where we can get together on a routine basis, I'll make it my business to be there. And I'll help drive the effort and drive the thing. But you guys have got to participate, and I can't do all the work.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. These people sitting on their hands and saying, well, there's nothing I can do.
Yep.
All wars. Get off your butts, get off your hands, and let's rein these goofballs in.
Right. But it's going to take effort, and everybody's got to, participate and show up.
Mike, I'll be in touch, buddy.
Hey, thanks so much for the call. We appreciate you. Hey, folks, we're going to take a break in just a minute. I want to remind you of a couple of quick things before Sheriff Mack joins us. This is today and tomorrow until Friday. This is the last days that you have to get stuff down to the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue for our troops over in Afghanistan. They support and promote and provide this stuff at their cost and expense and take care of all the shipping and do everything voluntarily to our 91st Airborne Cavalry Hatchet Squadron. They are stationed over in Afghanistan, and they send them baby wipes and unscented soaps and foot powder and tuna and salmon and coffee and things like that. If you've got a donation, you can get down there. Make sure you do today to 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains. Telephone number for you to call if you need to is 257-7799. You can also find them at batterystation.com. They are also a sponsor of this show, and they'll be sponsoring this segment that we have coming up with Sheriff Mack. And I would like to make you aware of the fact that they've got a ton of brand new freeze-dried food down there, the Mountain House number 10 cans. So get down there. I've never seen prices like this before on that stuff. So make sure that you get down there and are taking advantage of that. Also want to thank Wits End Hair Hotline for sponsoring our telephone lines this morning. We can probably take a few calls in the latter half of the show with Sheriff Mack, and we're going to take a break in just a moment. Wits End is right here on the square, best hair cutter in town. I go get my hair cut over there, and he's a great guy, and he sponsors our phone line. So make sure you support him as well. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Sheriff Richard Mack. You can find him on the website on his website at sheriffmack.com. Please make sure you get over there, educate yourself, find out what this gentleman is about. This will be a very informative opportunity for you to hear what a true American patriot does. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's our last errand today, Jimmy. Just need to pick up some light bulbs.
Whoa, there's so many. Did Grandma tell you which ones to buy?
No, but check out the label on this package. It'll help us find the right bulbs.
Does it really matter?
Well, sure. The new light bulbs use a lot less energy, so we save money on our electric bill by using an energy-saving incandescent, CFL, or LED.
How about this bulb?
Let's see. We need to replace the 60-watt bulbs in our bedside lamps. That one is 800 lumens, so it should do the trick.
I've never heard of lumens.
Lumens tell us how bright the light is. The more lumens, the brighter the bulb.
You know, Grandpa, you're a pretty bright guy.
Yeah, you're pretty smart yourself, Jimmy.
Lumens, the new way to shop for light. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. That's EnergySavers.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Energy.
America's Voice Now with Michael Evans.
All right, we are back from that brief break. This is a capitalist radio show, folks. Never forget that. All you got to do to get the benefits of this great show is sit through a couple of commercials. Hey, we're going to be joined by Sheriff Richard Mack, who happens to be, in my opinion, one of the greatest Americans out there right now. He has a website at sheriffmack.com, where you can learn all about his latest book, which is available for you to purchase. And also, he's got a host of other information up there. This is a very thorough website. He's got tons of documentation up there. He also is one of the founders of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. You may have remembered he joined with us during the primaries for our Constitutional Sheriffs show, where we had some 7 different sheriffs from 7 counties in here. And Sheriff Mack began the program with us and was sponsoring those fellas. So, Sheriff, good morning and welcome to the show.
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me on again, Mike.
Hey, listen,
good to be back with you.
We're glad to have you. Anytime you want, you're got a welcome seat here.
Well, thanks.
So, hey, we've got a couple of issues going on right here in our little state, where we have, of course, after these Connecticut shootings, we have had a couple of senators and House representatives who have attempted to allow concealed carry by teachers in the schools. Mm-hmm. And the way our state law operates is that schools are banned from, or firearms-free zones, if you will, unless the...
Yeah, that's worked out really well for us.
Right, we can see that from the last few episodes, right, that's worked out, exactly. That in Aurora, Colorado, right? So, right. But gun-free zones are death spiral zones. But the way that it works here is that if you're the principal or you're a school board chairman or whatever you want to call them, they have the right to kind of give teachers a waiver to do that. But we have so many obstinate school boards and principals around here who don't want to necessarily allow carry that we're trying to get it passed as a state issue that says, irrespective of what the principal or the school board says, a teacher can carry. And I certainly promote that. My goal, of course, and the way I've suggested it, is that those teachers who want to carry should train with the local police department in that school on nights and weekends when the police go in there and train, so that they're working as a concerted unit together.
Yes.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. In fact, I think that teachers should be going to all the local police or sheriff's office certification courses that police officers have to go through.
Sure.
So
we actually talked about that as well. It's called post-training.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'd suggested they go through post-training, that the citizens in the community pay for it, and then that those teachers have like a Tactical 1, Tactical 2 pistol training course, and then be allowed to carry in schools. And that would basically, for all intents and purposes, deputize them.
Well, the sheriff can deputize him right now, and he has the authority to do it. He doesn't have to ask anybody else's permission, and that's why what you're talking about could happen so easily without legislative approval, without legislative action. The sheriffs can deputize whoever they want, and I would love to see that. I don't think they have to go through the entire academy.
Right.
I would just say go through the same police training course that police officers have to go through, as far as being certified with pistol and defensive pistol tactics.
Sure. And I agree with you, because they don't need to know how to take fingerprints. I mean, that's really not their role, and they shouldn't have to sit through all the classes about, traffic laws and all those things. That's not their function. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so the sheriffs already have this ability, and I really would encourage every sheriff in the state and in this country to examine your authority and your ability, your capability of protecting schools. Go in and talk with the other chiefs of police and say, look, we can continue this nonsense known as gun-free school zones. And I always get really tickled when I go to a Safeway or some other store that says no guns allowed.
Yeah.
Like what is that sign going to do? Is that going to stop a shooter?
Really?
And quite honestly, I kind of smile because I have my gun underneath my coat or in my pocket or whatever when I see those, and I go in anyway.
Right.
They're not going to tell me I can't. And what are they going to do? Arrest me if they happen to see that I do have a gun on? First and foremost, you keep it concealed, so where nobody has to be alarmed about you carrying a gun in their store. But it's so ridiculous to assume that because we put gun-free school zone signs outside our schools, that it's going to prevent any type of violence with a gun.
Of course.
I mean...
well, we have laws against drugs. We have laws against prostitution. We have laws against pedophilia. It doesn't seem to stop any of those people. So.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And then, some other people, liberals that I've argued that too, say, well, does that mean we should legalize all of that? And I said, look, when you make a law that you know no one's going to obey, Abraham Lincoln said you might want to re-examine the law.
Right.
But the thing of it is, no law should make criminals out of people who are not committing any type of crime, and that's what they've done with guns. And let's reiterate something. There's 2 or 3 things that we've covered right here already that are in my book, The Magic of Gun Control.
Yeah, and that's available for shipping now, by the way. Quick shameless plug.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You can find that at sheriffmack.com.
and it addresses every one of these issues, but in particular, a sheriff, it mentions Sheriff Alderman, who is no longer a sheriff. He's retired now. But this was just a year and a half ago where he and Colorado State University got sideways with the law. And Colorado, of course, offers a concealed carry permit, and you have to get a background check. It's very thorough, and you have to go to training, and you have to go through a certification course to get that permit. Well, these are law-abiding citizens who have gone through this process that I don't agree with. But nevertheless, they do it. The state authorizes this carried concealed permit, and most of the reasons that the states have done that is because it's proven to be effective in preventing crime and providing self-protection for people. But that's exactly what the Second Amendment is for in the first place.
Right, exactly.
And that's the only permit I need, and that's why I said I don't believe in this process. And the idiotic, the New York Journal or whatever newspaper printed the names of all the concealed carry permit holders.
Like as if they were criminals.
As if they were criminals. And so this is how ridiculous it's gotten. After they go through a lawful governmental process to get the permit,
which,
then
by
they
the
want
way,
to treat them like they're criminals.
You know, having come from the Northeast and having spent a lot of my youth, or misspent a lot of my youth in New York, let me tell you something. It is a 2-year process to get a gun permit in New York.
Oh, my goodness.
A 2-year process. And you have to actually prove that you have a need for it. So you have to already be a judge or a cop, or you have to be a jeweler, or you have to be a courier of money. I mean, it's almost impossible to get one. You have to pull an enormous number of strings, and you have to pass through, you have to show that you've had extensive training, and I mean, it's just unbelievable to even possess and own a pistol in New York. So to get a concealed carry permit, let me tell you, it's like jumping over the moon with sneakers on. So, you know, for those guys, which is kind of silly because basically what they did is they just published all the cops and undercover police and judges and lawyers who have guns.
Right. That's
ridiculous.
And it is. And in fact, cops shouldn't even have to ask for a concealed carry permit. They're already authorized.
Right. In fact,
anyway.
You know, that situation they had the other day where those firefighters were shot, that guy was an off-duty cop who showed up there first. And he was unarmed because he was not allowed to carry a gun off-duty. And he showed up, and the only thing he could do to help those firefighters was pull his own personal car in between their car where they were being fired upon and the shooter himself. And that was the best that he could do because he didn't have a weapon on him. Can you believe it?
No, I can't, and that's just how ridiculous these idiotic legislators have become. That leave us defenseless in a situation like that. That is so absurd.
Yeah, I tell you, it's just beyond comprehension. And so we see this everywhere. You know, these people who are sitting there advocating gun control, in many cases, own firearms themselves, and those who don't have armed security, which they can afford. So they're thinking, of course, for the rest of us, is just let them eat cake, you know?
and I'm really concerned about that hypocrisy as well, and the elitist narcissistic attitude that these legislators have. We want to take your guns, but I will continue to be protected with people with guns.
Exactly. It's that do as I say, not as I do mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a break coming up. Before we get into that, I just want to tell you, I want to read something to you that I started our show with this morning. There is a kind of a move out there for a brand new amendment to the Constitution. I'd just like your thoughts on this. This is the proposed 28th Amendment to the Constitution. Congress shall make no law that applies to the citizens of the United States that does not apply equally to the senators or representatives. And Congress shall make no law that applies to the senators or representatives that does not apply equally to the citizens of the United States.
Boy, wouldn't that be wonderful?
I love that one.
Yeah.
Because, they just exempted themselves, by the way, if you haven't heard from Obamacare. So
yeah, exactly. And I think we need to exempt all local officials, including sheriffs, need to protect us from Obamacare.
Absolutely.
I mean, any sheriff and any local official should be looking at this 2,200-page law and say, no, we are not going to subject our citizens to such ambiguity and something that leaves everything up to government officials.
Sure. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Folks, when we come back, we'll open up our phone lines at 257-1111 and 866-554-6636 for a quick Q&A with Sheriff Mack. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm William Wu. The president expected back in Washington shortly to face continued gridlock over the fiscal cliff crisis. The Senate due back in session today.
House Speaker John Boehner is in Ohio. His aides told me they will let us know if he has plans to travel. The last time the Speaker and the President of the United States met face-to-face to have any substantive discussions about the fiscal cliff was 10 days ago.
Fox's Mike Emanuel. The number of people asking for first-time jobless help last week, 350,000. That's below expectations.
The prior week was revised up by 1,000, so at 362,000 in the wake of Hurricane Sandy.
Fox Business Network's Dagan McDowell and former President George H.W. Bush in guarded condition in intensive care at a Houston hospital where he's been battling a fever. Fox News, we report, you decide.
If you're a homeowner facing foreclosure and a so-called loan modification expert asks you for an upfront payment, run, and run fast. Be aware of promises that can't be kept, like,
I guarantee to save your home.
We can significantly lower your mortgage payment.
Protect yourself from foreclosure scams. Assistance from a HUD-approved housing counselor is your assurance that the information is trustworthy, and it's free. Visit www.hud.gov/fairhousing.
A message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Hey, Billy.
Yeah?
Do you want to go to the state fair?
Yeah.
Do you want to ride the roller coaster?
Yeah.
The big one?
Yeah.
The one with the reverse flip?
Yeah!
Well, you can't.
Huh?
Well, you see, Billy, when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have done with it, including going to the state fair.
Oh, man.
Cheer up. This year your parents will make it right. They're going to visit EnergySavers.gov where they'll get tips on how to save energy and money. Then they'll add extra insulation and get a few of those Energy Star appliances. They could save hundreds of dollars a year. And you know what, Billy?
What?
They'll take you to the state fair next year.
But I want to go this year.
I know you do, Billy. I know you do. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
This is Jana with Earl's Dodge Chrysler Jeep in West Plains and invite you to test drive a new Dodge Dart. The Dart is loaded with innovative technology, class-leading safety features, and clever functionality. The new Dodge Dart sets a new standard in the compact car segment by offering unmatched personalization, roominess, style, functionality, and fun-to-drive dynamics. We have them now at Earl's Dodge Chrysler Jeep, North Highway 63 in West Plains, during the big finish of 2012, where buying a vehicle is simple as it should be.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, we expect the day to be mostly sunny with a high of 35. We'll have mostly cloudy skies tonight on low 22. There's a chance of snow showers Friday morning. It'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 40. Friday night looks mostly cloudy, low 23. For the last weekend of the year on Saturday, it'll be mostly sunny with a high of 35. Sunday should be a sunny day, expect a high near 40. Again, today's high 35, and I'm Rod Tanner. For more information, check out our website, the all-new www.my1071thepoint.com.
America's Voice Now with Michael Evans.
All right, we are going to get back to our interview with Sheriff Richard Mack. Without further ado, if you'd like to call in, if you'd like to have a quick conversation or a Q&A with Sheriff Mack, you can call our Wits End Hair hotline at 257-1111 and or 866-554-6636 if you are long distance. Feel free to give a call in. I just ask that you keep your question short, brief, to the point, and then let them answer. So, Sheriff, we have problems in some cases with our sheriffs around here who don't believe that citizens, even in this day and age and as in Midwest as we are, who don't believe that it's appropriate for teachers to be armed or citizens to carry and things like that. Right. And so part of our goal in this state legislative initiative is to make sure that they can't prohibit it either, if you know what I mean, by default or by de facto prohibition.
It would be great to have the backup from the legislatures to let sheriffs know that this is something that they should be doing. But any sheriff that knows and understands the Constitution should already be doing it. The problem is we don't have enough sheriffs and local peace officers and chiefs of police who have read the Constitution, who know and understand the intent of our founding fathers when they developed the Second Amendment in the first place.
Yeah.
But I will say this, that the statistics in this country are extremely clear. Whether they are or not, and that's another thing my book points out, gun control in America, regardless of any statistical analysis from either side, some of the liberals want to say, well, we should be like Japan and these other communist countries that don't allow guns and they have very little gun crime. The reason they do is because the police can come in your home and check you anytime you want, and if you even touch a gun in Japan, it's a 10-year prison sentence. So if you want to live in that country, go ahead. Please move there. But any statistical analysis is plain and simply this: immaterial to one key component. And I have a chapter in the book that says gun control in America is against the law.
Right.
And regardless of what you bring up, it's still against the law. However, the statistics are very, it's like watching a movie in front of your face that every day that the movie portrays one key component to the gun rights debate, and it's plain and simply this: where guns are most prevalent, gun crime is at its lowest, and where guns are restricted, like Washington D.C., who at 10 years in a row set a worldwide murder rate, it was a felony to own a gun or to have a gun in your home, a felony in Washington, D.C. So they had the most strict gun control anywhere, yet they had the most gun violence. And New York, same thing. Same thing with Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles. All these areas that prohibit guns have the worst gun violence. Yep. Now, places like Arizona and Montana and Wyoming and Texas and Vermont and Alaska, per capita, where guns are completely allowed, the gun violence is at its lowest. So I'm going to tell everyone wanting to do something to restrict guns even more, or whichever, I don't care, Pierce Morgan or all you other idiots, Charles Schumer, look at the statistics and then do one favor for me. Choose one. Which one do you want?
That's the problem, is they want to take those statistics and twist them to their own ends, We've got a caller coming on. Welcome to the show, caller.
Good morning. I have a question. I heard you a while ago say that the sheriff has the right to deputize these people. My question was, because our Homeland Security has bought so much ammo, who are they going to use it against except us? Why does it stop the sheriff from deputizing all the gun owners in the county to maybe shut this thing down?
He can do that. Yeah, absolutely. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, a very good friend of mine from Phoenix, Maricopa County Sheriff, has over 3,200 on his posse.
That's where it should be.
They're very well trained. They don't have to be, but he can deputize anybody he wants. I had a posse of about 150 when I was sheriff. Most sheriffs in Arizona have a volunteer posse search and rescue squad. This is all according to the law. This is all according to common law, which is common history and common sense. And so, yes, the sheriff can absolutely form posses, and I highly recommend it.
I think they should, because if our Homeland Security comes in, or our vaunted leaders decide that we shouldn't have guns and they come to try to take them, that's the only defense we have.
In fact, I would love to see the sheriff give you a specific posse identification that requires you to be armed.
There you go.
That'd be great.
Sheriff, just a quick question, but I mean, and I guess this is more along a theoretical line, but is it reasonable or possible because a sheriff is required to be, or a deputy is required to be armed, or has at least the legal right to be, that if sheriffs in certain counties were, astute enough to create a movement out of this, they could theoretically deputize any adult individual, and therefore basically say, you can pass all the gun control you want, but my deputies can have whatever they need, including an assault quote unquote weapon.
Yeah, that's part of the response to their gun control measures. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yes, absolutely.
I like that idea.
Yeah, you got that right.
Well, basically it flies in the face of what the government is going to try to do. And you can say, well, wait a second. We have 27,000 people that live in this county, and out of those, 15,000 are kids, but the rest are deputized adults. Have a nice day.
Yes, exactly. And not only that, but you said that the deputies have the authority to carry guns, right?
Yes.
They do. Okay. In America, who bestows all power and grants those authorities to government officials and cops?
We the citizens.
We the people. That's right.
That's correct.
We the people. So how is it that we bestow a power on police that we've never had ourselves?
Good point. Good point. Good argument, actually. I think I'm going to use that one if you don't mind.
You use it all you want, and it's also in the book.
That's great. Hey, caller, did you have another quick question?
No, that answers it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much for the call.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and good question.
Yeah, that was a great question. It prompted some thinking from my side. I think what we need to do is create a campaign to actively deputize every adult, man and woman who is willing, of course, or chooses to. That's to be on a voluntary basis as a posse to basically say, listen, the cool idea about this is if we were to get entire counties to run with this idea, it would effectively get national attention and maybe create a movement that would start to move across the country before they go ahead and try to, pass this. The numbers themselves, the sheer numbers themselves, may make them think twice about what they're planning on doing.
Doesn't that sound wonderful to have citizens working with sheriffs, that citizens are getting trained, and that we're immediately available. We're the Minutemen, immediately available to help a sheriff with any natural disaster, with any other security issues or problems,
right.
and that we have that kind of relationship with our sheriff.
Well, the other thing is, and I'm just bringing up, this brings to mind a couple of quick thoughts. One, got to make sure that we don't let the word militia in there anywhere in the concept of this, because as soon as you use that word, the next thing they think of is beer swilling hillbillies with a beard down to their belly and a belly that looks like they swallowed 3 basketballs, and the next thing the liberals are all over it. This way, you can actually say, "Hey, we just have 14,000 deputies in this county."
Yeah.
And you guys can pass whatever you want, but you know what? This is an armed encampment. Don't come here.
Right, and it is a posse, and I hate to say this, but it is the same concept as the militia, but it is under the tutelage of the sheriff, and it's under his authority.
Right.
And again, the authority that he gets from us, the people.
Now, have you ever gotten pushback on the word posse? Because I'm thinking, because I've lived on both coasts, and that word posse is always kind of I don't know. It just has a whole connotation with it, Have you ever gotten pushback on that?
Tell them to go watch High Noon or some other Western movie, and then they'll get it.
That is the truth. I think this is a great idea. I'm going to write an article on this and put it up on the web. I'll send you a copy when I do, and you can stick it up on yours.
Sure.
And maybe we can get this thing to get some legs as a movement, because I truly believe that, and my argument on this whole gun control issue is that this should be our approach. You will not pass any further gun control. We're not asking you. We are telling you the answer is no.
Right.
I mean, we sit here and say, well, what are they going to do? It's not what are they going to do. It's what are we going to do to say no more.
Well, and I've also talked about that with our sheriffs at our conventions, and some of that you'll see on our DVD set of our conventions, and I highly recommend that too. We actually did a convention with 2 conventions this year, January 30th and again September 17th, which is Constitution Day. And we had, with both conventions, we had over 150 sheriffs there, and one of your sheriffs there from Missouri, Joey Kyle, spoke at our last one.
Yeah.
And he's fantastic, and Roy Cole, another good sheriff there in Missouri, wanted to be more involved. He wasn't able to come to the convention, but this is the whole thing. We have the evidence that this is already working, that sheriffs are already standing and are very interested in these topics, and the one that they were interested in the most was the issue of gun control. And I just want sheriffs to do what you just said. Let the federal government know and state government there will not be any more gun control. And if you pass it, it won't be enforced in my county. We will not enforce any more of your dictatorial, unconstitutional laws, because the Second Amendment speaks for itself. The Founding Fathers knew what they were doing. You're not smarter than them. And not only that, but you don't get to break the law just because you have a different opinion.
Sure. Not to mention the fact that, you know what, we aren't giving you the authority to take stuff away from us. And that's our authority to give, and we're not offering it. So, hey, folks, you can see Sheriff Mack's website at sheriffmack.com. He has his book up there, which is the brand new book, The Magic of Gun Control. You can order it there. You can also get a hold of the CSPOA convention set, which is a 6-disc set that contains over 7 hours of the convention speeches by a host of stalwarts in the movement. So make sure you get out there, and you can also subscribe and support Sheriff Mack's projects here by going to his website at sheriffmack.com. We'll be right back.
The election is over, but our nation's problems still remain. Rising food prices, the uncertain economy, and changing weather patterns are all a part of our near future. Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance can help you be ready for whatever may come. We have long-term storage foods, water purification equipment, hunting and camping gear, and a whole lot more. Don't be scared, be prepared. That's Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance, located just a half-mile east of Walmart on Highway 62 in Mountain Home. 870-492-4030.
Hi, this is Ed Lubers from the Ozark Best News Talk, 107.1 The Point, and ESPN 100.9 KHOM. Wishing all of you a very safe and very happy holiday this holiday season and throughout the new year.
This is Larry Calton, the Drive Home Show on ESPN 100.9, wishing all of you a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This is Brett Robbins from the ESPN and The Point. I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. I'll see you guys next year.
America's Voice Now with Michael Evans.
Folks, we've been fortunate enough to have Sheriff Mack with us this morning. I just want to take a quick break and throw in a couple of spots for our sponsors. This particular section has been sponsored by the Battery Station, and they're at 303 Washington Avenue, 257-7799. You can find them on batterystation.com. Strong supporter of the program. Carry all kinds of great gear down there for camping, tactical gear, cases, all kinds of stuff. Make sure that you get down there and see those folks. They're also the ones who support our troops in Afghanistan with those packages they send over. Bill Stone over at Stone Construction. 40 years in the business doing custom remodels, custom and new construction, light commercial. Bill's the right guy for the job. 2930116. Our friends over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery at 255-2253, number 2 Evans Arcade. Best damn bakery in 100 miles. And our friends over at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. They're at half mile east of Walmart on Route 62 in Mountain Home. And you can get a hold of Brian down there at 870-492-4030. You can also find them on the web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. Thanks, folks, for supporting our show and our guests. We appreciate you. Okay, so enough of the housekeeping, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Capitalist Radio. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I love it. You bet.
Your book that you just published is really especially geared. It's called The Magic of Gun Control, and it is specifically geared and designed to talk about the issues surrounding that, but in a non-emotional, knee-jerk reaction way. And so maybe you could just kind of give us the 30-second elevator synopsis of that.
Well, it goes through the history of the Second Amendment, but also the history of gun control. And I think it's kind of not just embarrassing for local officials who support gun control to be on the side of historical gun grabbers like Hitler and Pol Pot and Stalin and Fidel Castro. These are the people who were experts in gun control. And where did it get the people who were underneath these horrible dictators?
100 million dead?
It got them dead. And we need to remember that in America, the people have the final say. We would never be able to have that final say if we were defenseless and disarmed. And so what really bothers me is that we simply do not teach the proper constitutional history in our country anymore. So we're raising socialists and kids who believe that guns are bad and evil.
Sure.
When you see that guns have been used for creating liberty, especially in America, an armed citizenry rose up with the right of Paul Revere. He didn't call out the army. He called out the militia or the citizen
sure.
volunteers, and he told them to get their assault rifles out of their closets and come and defend ourselves from tyranny. And all that's in there. And then at the end, I compare America to the Titanic sinking, and we are sinking, and everybody thought we were unsinkable. Well, Abraham Lincoln, that's another quote in there. Abraham Lincoln said that if we ever falter, and if America's ever destroyed, it will be because we destroyed ourselves from within.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're experiencing. And people just don't learn from these things and look at what our founders warned us to never do. The founding fathers warned us to never have gun control, and now we have over 20,000 gun control laws in this country. They warned us against a welfare state, and now that's all we are. We're an entitlement society, and we think that our neighbors should be paying for our problems and to end poverty. We've already paid over $4 trillion since LBJ started the war on poverty in this country to stop it. We could have given everybody $1 million and stopped it easy, but no.
Right.
We continue to think we're smarter than the founders, smarter than the Constitution, and we continue to vote for people who portray that to us, and it's simply so un-American and unconstitutional and unlawful that we're literally electing and following people who are providing for our own demise.
Well, I in our Restore Missouri project, one of the initiatives I have, which I'd like to see passed in our state, is for a voter initiative to be created. You have the right to grab a hold of either your local state representative, your local state senator, or your federal representative, or either of your federal senators. Grab them by the collar. If they vote against the best interests of the people in their state, be able to grab them by the collar, pull them back from wherever they are at, either in Jefferson City or D.C., and say, guess what? You're fired. Have a nice day. That's the end of the deal. And then be able to have like a stand-in that would be able to fill in that role. Because, as an example, on health care, we had Claire McCaskill, who's our the most liberal puking senator we've almost in the House or in the Senate, and she 70% of Missouri voted against Obamacare, and she voted for it anyway because she knows so much better than us. Right. And we see this time and time again. She's already come out and saying she's 100% for this gun control thing, and yet we as citizens don't really. I mean, our suggestions, our input isn't even listened to. I mean, it's like, well, I know what's best for you, and I don't really care what you want. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to give you. It's almost that attitude of, when I want your opinion, I'll tell you what it is.
I beg for the day when one of these politicians would actually say, I'm sorry, I can't give you what you want because what you're asking for would require me to violate the Constitution, so I can't do that.
We've never heard that.
No, you won't from these politically correct. Literally, those politicians, McCaskill and others like her, and a lot of Republicans as well, have literally replaced our Constitution with their own selfish, politically correct agendas.
Right.
Political correctness has now replaced our foundation in this country. And I will say the book addresses that very topic. And I really love the two incidents I have in there where two women fired at intruders in their homes. One was Rebecca Griffin in Washington, D.C., who had a gun illegally in her home because her boyfriend happened to have left it there. It saved her life and the life of her children. And when thugs came in to literally, they were ready to burn their place down. They had the fuel. Her daughter was a witness in a crime, and these thugs came in to get rid of the witness. And if she hadn't had the gun, they would all be dead.
You know, I remember when I was a teenager, there was a fella in New York, Bernie Getz, who had shot some kids on a subway.
Yes.
And, you know, these kids were thugs, and there was no denying it. And, you know, he used a gun to do it. Well, they prosecuted him, you know, for illegal possession of the gun, but nobody gave a damn about the 4 kids who were trying to kill him, you know.
Right.
And there was another fella in New York who actually had moved to New York, brought a gun with him, and came home one afternoon, and there was a guy broken into his apartment with a knife over his wife's throat, straddling her on the bed, and he shot the guy, and they charged him with premeditated first-degree murder. The premeditation was he owned the gun, so must have had the intent.
Oh, good grief.
Just beyond comprehension, you know.
That's how stupid it's gotten in this country.
Yeah.
And sounds like something Mayor Bloomberg would start.
Exactly. Well, he wasn't there then, but I'm sure he.
I know, but it's the same mentality.
Hey, we've got a caller. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, greetings from the Southern Valley Forge.
This is Joe, Sheriff. This is Joe from Arcanistan.
Okay.
Hey, Sheriff Mack, thanks for your efforts and commitment there.
Thank you.
One quick question. In Arizona, under the existing statutes, can convicted felons work in clerical personnel in the sheriff's department, or is that considered guns in the house?
Good
you
question.
Know what? I don't know. That would probably be up to the respective departments, and if the sheriff wanted to and saw that this person had done their time and now is a good person, they could hire you. They probably wouldn't put you on the street as a patrol officer, but to work inside some clerical position, I'm sure they could do that if they wanted to. And it depends on, you know, if somebody has a felony theft, like, you know, an 18-year-old stole a TV from the local Walmart or furniture store, that's a little bit different than somebody taking a knife and stabbing somebody in a fight or something like that. So the violent crimes, I would probably, as a sheriff, I would have stayed away from those. Somebody who had a stupid theft or something like that as a teenager, or you know, an 18-year-old that's considered an adult, but they're still teenagers and pretty immature sometimes.
Sure. Well, and sometimes
I would definitely consider that.
Hey, thanks for that question, Joe. Appreciate you.
Hey, thank you. We'll catch you later.
All right, buddy. Hey, you know, that's a good question, you know, or good point, because there are, you know, sometimes you got a guy who got a felony because he got caught with a bag of weed or something when he was 20 years old, and now he's 45. And his life is completely different. He's got kids. He's putting them through college. He's got a job. He hasn't been in trouble, hasn't had a traffic ticket in 15 years. And, you know, that still hangs around him like the proverbial stone around his neck. So.
Right.
Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining with us this morning. You know, you're always welcome here on this show because I love to have you, and I love to, you generate some great ideas and great thoughts. And so thank you so very, very much for joining with us this morning.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, and let's do it again. And everybody, Happy New Year. And to me, here's the freedom in 2013. We've got to stand for freedom. Get involved with our CSPOA. Go to CSPOA.org or SheriffMack.com and get involved with us in this process. I believe it's the only solution left.
I agree with you 100%. Thank you so much.
See you soon, Michael. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Folks, so that was Sheriff Richard Mack, a great friend of ours, great patriot, great American. Absolutely worth getting to his website and finding it at SheriffMack.com. And or also you can go to CSPOA, that's Constitutional Sheriff Peace Officers Association.org. Okay, make sure that you go to both of those websites because Sheriff Mack is as you listeners can hear yourselves. He is just the kind of guy that, you know, a true constitutionalist and a great American patriot. I love the guy, and I think the world of him. So you can find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. You can also find us on YouTube, and I will post this interview up on YouTube today. It will also be up on our website for you to be able to watch there as well. And you can find us on Facebook on YouTube at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. Hey, how easy is that, right? All you got to do is remember America's Voice Now, and you can find us, irrespective of whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, the web, whatever. It's all the same. We try to make it really easy. All right, folks, listen, I wanted you to have a great day. This Saturday, we are going to have a unique set of girls that are joining our show. It's called Chicks on the Right. They are a couple of conservative ladies that have got a great YouTube and Facebook site out there. It's called Chicks on the Right. I'll post up something on the website for you about it. Should be a very lively and entertaining opportunity to have a chat with these two gals. They're very conservative girls, and they break the model and the mold of what everybody thinks of conservative women. So, ladies, husbands, get your wives to listen to this show. It'll be a great one. Dennis Miller is next. I thank you folks for joining with us today. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. This is Mike Evans for America's Voice Now.
107.1, The Point, KBMV, Birch Tree, West Plains.
Fox News Radio. I'm Ron Flatter. Former President George H.W. Bush is in intensive care in Houston. More live from Fox News Radio's Eben Brown.
Ron, former President Bush has been at Methodist Hospital in Houston since Thanksgiving time for bronchitis.
They're concerned, they're frustrated because he was supposed to be out of the hospital by now, but they also understand that, in his current condition, he's exactly where he should be. He's getting some of the best medical care on the planet.
Bush family spokesman Jim McGrath. Physicians had said that he'd kicked the infection but wanted to keep watching the 88-year-old due to a persisting cough. Now he has a fever that won't go away, but is said